Hey everyone, my name is Amber. Welcome back to my channel, Amber Reads Romance. Today we are back with another vlog for my Rina Kent journey. So I am reading Rina Kent's backlist and her reading order, and today we're going to start out with the Deception trilogy. Okay guys, so if you're not aware, if you're new to my channel, I have actually been reading her backlist and her reading order. I've been vlogging my experience. It's taking me a while, but I am determined to get to her current series that I'm dying to read. So in this vlog, we're going to be going into the Deception trilogy, and this centers around Adrian, who we met in a previous duet. He's part of the Bratva. He was one of the most intimidating, scary guys in that duet. Like, they're part of the leaders of the Bratva, and he really intrigued me. I didn't love that duet. It didn't blow me away or anything, but I thought a lot of the side characters were super interesting. And the fact that we're going to have 3 books on Adrian alone tells me that this guy's going to be fucking crazy. So I'm very excited to read this. I did already start, but it's just with a prequel. It was a novella. Honestly, not much to say. It is Dark Deception. And it kind of introduces things, but it's super confusing because I think his wife died, maybe. There's like some kind of weird prologue of a girl like bleeding and dying, but she might have killed somebody and she's running away from him. He's going to get her. And then she ends up on a cliff and is like debating throwing herself off and ending things. And he's just like, do it. And she almost falls and is grabbing him, and he literally tells her, he's like, you know, you killed somebody. And he basically takes his arm away and she falls. So I don't know if that's his wife or it's going to be the current heroine. I don't know, because what I think is going on in this is Adrian's wife died, and then he finds kind of like a doppelganger. Because then we meet Winter in this, and she's a homeless woman. She's living on the streets, and she runs into Adrian, and he basically kidnaps her at the end of it and tells her she's going to be his wife. So that's kind of what we got going on. There's not a lot revealed, but it is interesting. So it's just a prequel. It was super quick. So I'm trying to finish my book right now that I'm reading, Forever Your Rogue, but then I'm going to dive into the first book. So I just wanted to do a quick intro and talk about that novella I just read, and I will check back in with you once I start the first book, which, let me double check. The first book is Vow of Deception, so I'm going to start with that one, and I will check back in with you guys in a bit. Hey guys, so I am in for my first check-in, and honestly, I already read the first book. It wasn't that long. I think it was less than 300 pages, so I didn't really feel like doing a bunch of check-ins. And, you know, my last Rina Kent vlog was super long. So anyways, I just decided to finish the book and kind of do a check-in. I'm actually checking on my mom's plants, and she has this beautiful lily that just bloomed. She's on a road trip and she's out of town, so I'm keeping an eye on her cat, watering all her flowers and plants and all of that. So anyways, just, I don't know. Maybe I'll do some footage with her cat, but she's just literally staring at me through the window right now. It's so sad. She's so lonely. She misses her mommy. But anyways, enough of that. I finished Vow of Deception as the first book, and it's pretty wild. It's pretty crazy. It's a little all over the place. It leaves you off on a cliffhanger. There's a lot of unanswered questions, and this series is actually, well, it's a trilogy on one couple. So I previously stated that I downloaded the prequel. It was like a novella, and I fell for this last time in like one of my other vlogs, where it's like a novella prequel, and really it's the first few chapters of the first book. So it's kind of pointless to me. I'm like, why do you even have this set as a novella and a prequel? Like, it needs to have stuff that's not in the first book. That's just my opinion. It annoys me. I feel like it's kind of a gimmick, a little bit, that the author does to make you go to their website, because that's where it's available, and like download it. And in order to download it, you got to sign up for their newsletter, which I don't mind. I want to be on Rina Kent's newsletter, but I just feel like that's ridiculous when it's literally the first few chapters of the first book. So in this, I did mention, the beginning was really confusing, where a woman was like running for her life and all this kind of stuff and scared of a guy, and he kind of pushes her over the cliff. I don't know. And then you have Winter, who's living on the streets. She's homeless. You get little pieces of who it kind of is, or her family, and what she thought was her family. I don't know. She's a mess. But she is homeless, and she gets discovered by Adrian, who is he's not the pecan, but he works right directly under the pecan. So he's very powerful. He's more methodical, like a thinker. He's able to do manipulations, and he works with a lot of people that are hackers, and he's just really smart, and with the way he does his business in it. But he finds her, and then later that day somebody gets murdered at the guy that ran the homeless shelter gets murdered. He had kind of attacked her earlier, and so all of a sudden the police are looking for her, and she's the main suspect, and she's freaking out. And so she kind of goes away to sleep in a parking garage, and Adrian found her there, and he basically forces her in his car, and he's like, yeah, you're gonna be my wife. And so his wife had died. We didn't know. Is she dead? Is she really not dead? And she's basically a doppelganger. She's an exact, looks exactly like his wife. And so he's like, you're gonna play your part. You need to come live with me. You need to be my wife. You need to follow everything that I say. Anything. He's very into this BDSM. I mean, there is a lot of punishments in this book of him spanking her if she doesn't follow his rules. If she barely talks back, he'll be like, that's one. And then every time she says something, he's like, that's two, that's three. But so she goes and lives in this house with him. And then she realizes, and she keeps bringing up her daughter and losing her baby, but we don't know anything about it the entire book, what happened in that storyline. So I don't know if she's just crazy. But she meets his son, Jeremy, who I really loved in this book. And she kind of freaks out at first, because it gave her memories of her lost child. And so she ends up kind of getting Jeremy to be forgiving of her, because he thinks his mom just abandoned him. And she's like, I'll never leave you. So it's really beautiful. She builds this really sweet relationship with Jeremy, and he just wants his mom back. And so it's kind of sad if you're thinking if she's not even really his mom. And then she's kind of trying to befriend one of his kind of soldiers to try and get somebody on her side. And he's constantly spanking her, and she gets off on the spanking. So there's a lot of foreplay that way. But they have this thing where she bites her lip and will not moan or cry out, and he wants her to. So it's a weird dynamic. But she's like, no, I won't do it till you call me Winter. My name's Winter. He keeps calling her by his wife's name. I think it's Leah. I already forgot. But he's like, no, you're Leah. And so when he kept calling her Leah, even in his POV, not just when they're alone, even when they're alone, he won't call her Winter. He's like, no, you're Leah. And so, she's thinking he's trying to erase who she is and all this stuff. But to me, just that whole thing of him always calling her Leah in his head, I'm like, I wonder if she's actually is Leah, and the other person was an imposter or something weird going on, and this girl's crazy. So I kind of guess what ends up happening in the cliffhanger, but still I'm left with tons of questions, because She ends up staying with him. She has to learn all about the Bratva. She goes to like a birthday party, and she ends up getting kidnapped at this birthday party. And this guy is like texted her too, and he's like, "You need to be on mission." And I'm like, "What the fuck is she?" And she doesn't have any idea. She has these horrible nightmares of this guy, and like how she's supposed to kill Adrian, and she has dreams of like the real Leah coming after her. She has seen Leah, or who we think is Leah, in like this guest house through the window. It's just craziness. And so the crazy thing that happens is like when she's kidnapped, like her guard that she's been trying to like get close to, he gets shot like pretty badly twice, but like not killed. So that was weird. And so she's trying to keep him alive. And the guy's like, "You need to get on mission. You need to do what you're supposed to do and get me what I'm after," and blah, blah, blah. So she's freaking out like he wants Adrian dead or something. And how do I know this guy? He's like calling her the Duchess. And you're just like, what the fuck is going on? So she doesn't even tell Adrian this either, which I'm like, why wouldn't you be honest? But I mean, I guess she's scared of him. But like after the guard's healing and everything in that guest house, the second bedroom is where that chick is. And he literally tells her like, you need to go up there now. He's like, the other guard that's helping him, he's like, he's only loyal to Adrian. He will never help you, but like, you need to go up there. And this guard has kind of talked back to Adrian, thinking what he's doing is wrong. And so she goes up there, and who we think is the real Leah is like in a bed hooked up to stuff. And she like wakes up, but she's like kind of catatonic or like not all there. She doesn't even see Winter, and Winter's trying to talk to her. And so she freaks out. And then, you know, her whole thing is she's like kind of falling for Adrian and getting really into their sex. Like they have really kinky sex, because he gets very turned on the night that she like got kidnapped, because she worked really hard to like save that guard. And he was like, "I'm so proud of you." And they like finally had sex. So he's been like relentless with the sex, and he's a pretty big dominant. But he does do like a lot of aftercare with her, which I really enjoyed. I love BDSM when it actually shows them doing the aftercare, because it's such an important part of it. But she's like breaking because he won't call her Winter, and she thinks he's just viewing her as his wife that's dead, or not dead, because she's literally out there. And so now it was bad enough when she had to kind of compete mentally, like thinking of like his wife, but his dead wife, but his wife isn't even dead. So she kind of makes a plan to like reach out to that guy that's texting her and get her and Jeremy to be able to go out to the park, because they're never able to leave the house. And then that guy can come take them, because she doesn't want to leave Jeremy. She's told him she'll never leave him. And so that kind of happens where he kind of gets them split up at the park and everything. And like a diversion happens, and he pulls her aside, and she's like, "No, I need Jeremy. Jeremy has to come with me." And he's like, "You still haven't completed what you need to complete. Like, you're not going anywhere till it's done." And then he calls her Duchess again. He's like, "You really don't remember?" And this is when the big reveal happens that she is Leah. And you kind of have a feeling like she was always supposed to kill Adrian or something, maybe. I don't know. So I kind of guessed that she was actually the real Leah because of the way Adrian treated her, and was so obsessed with her. And I just felt like she was the real deal. So that I kind of got, but all this other stuff with her supposed to kill him, or who she's supposed to be after, what's the end goal, who are these people, like I have no idea. So that's kind of where the book left off, is this cliffhanger of that she is the real Rhea, and then she ends up having like a flashback remembering getting married to him, but like knowing that she just needs to kill him or something. So I don't know. This is going to be crazy, I think. So I'm actually going right into the second one. So I don't know if I'll do a check-in till the end, but you know, I've already talked for like 10 minutes about this, so don't want to make them too long. But anyways, I hope my eyebrows don't look too crazy, because side note, I had to like fill them in big time, so they look really dark. than they usually do, because I went and got my eyebrows waxed, and I always go to this place. I always go to this brow bar that's like at Ulta, the Benefit Brow Bar. And I've had this chick before, but she like took this eyebrow like way over. So I'm like traumatized. So I'm trying to fill them in, but hopefully they don't look too crazy. Anyways, all right. Thanks for watching this. Sorry I'm rambling and going on and on. I will check in back with you once I start the second book, which I think is Temptation of Deception. Tempted by Deception. So I'll check back in with you either when I finish it, or maybe if it's really good and I want to do lots of check-ins, I'll check in then. But thank you guys. I will see you on the next clip. Hey guys, just checking in here. I actually finished the second book, but I didn't really do any check-ins because it really took me a long time to get into this book. I was reading it for I think like 2 days. And it was slow going. And the reason it was hard was because in the last book, we leave off on a cliffhanger. We find out who she really is, and you're wanting all these answers. And then in this book, it goes back in time years ago to see how they met. And it's really drawn out. Like, I'm telling you, this book is like 60-70% about like him spanking her and them fucking and him, you know, BDSM and spanking. And it's like really drawn out. Like, I was bored. I was skimming some of it. Like, honestly, it was just frustrating. But you get to see her, you know, as Leah, finally the real her. And she was, you know, a ballerina and all of that kind of stuff. And he randomly ran into her. You know, you kind of still wonder, did he kill that guy in the garage on purpose to get it like an in with her? I don't know. But she witnessed a murder, and that's kind of how they met. And then he basically became obsessed and was stalking her. But really, he knows who her real father is, which is the Don of the Italian mafia. So he's kind of like starts to use her, or kind of like infiltrate her life and give her no choice in the option that he's going to be part of her life because of who her father is. But then he becomes so into her and obsessed with her that he doesn't ever really want to use her like as that leverage with her father. So I don't know. It was so drawn out, like so much back and forth, so much punishments and spankings. And I was so bored. And then we finally get, like, it skips a few years. You know, you get to see her where she got pregnant, which he was planning on trying to, like, mess with her pills. But she got pregnant anyways. And she, like, blamed him. And she was like, you did this on purpose. And he was like, well, I didn't even have to. But yeah, I was planning on it. That's the thing, is Adrian is ruthless. He doesn't give a fuck. And he's willing to do whatever it takes. You get to see her build a really close relationship with his guard, who she ends up building a relationship again as Winter later. So I liked that. But honestly, this book was just so drawn out. We finally get to the like cliffhanger of on this one. Well, it's not really totally cliffhanger, but we're getting answers to what happened, how she's working with that guy and that was trying to kill Adrian, and he is actually like a childhood friend of hers. And, you know, he was basically wanting her to get close to him. He's like very hidden, and he works for bad people, and he wants her to get close to him, and he wants her to give him information on Adrian, which is like weird. I don't know. It just didn't work for me. I don't really have a lot to say. We did get to the point where she actually meets Winter, like, because she would go help out at a shelter, and she was like trying to get away from him multiple times. And then, like, their relationship just has so many ups and downs. He forces her into a marriage after they get pregnant. And it's just, like, very hot and cold kind of bad relationship. And so she finds Winter, and she asks her to switch places with her. And Winter's, like, all about it. Because she's like, oh, I can live a rich lifestyle. Hell yeah. So, you know, that happens. He immediately sees Winter, and he's like, who are you? Like, he knew it wasn't his wife. And he eventually, like, then we get to that prologue scene from the first book that was like really confusing, where in her head she made it out like he pushed her. He never pushed her. She basically jumped off the cliff to get away from him,
and then she gets really badly injured and is in the hospital, and she wakes up and she's in this disassociated, I can't even say it, disassociation, like that's what her problem is. And she's in that state where she thinks she's Winter now, and they tell him for her, she needs to be Winter. Like, you're scaring her more. You tell her that she's Leah. And so he basically lets her go be Winter and keeps an eye on her. And his guard, like, is the homeless man that was like her best friend. So, and then, you know, we're getting to the end here of like finally catching up to where we're at now. So I don't know. It was just so drawn out. I really didn't need that much info on how they met. I think it could have been done in flashbacks, and we could have been done with, like, it could have been a duet or something. Like, you could have made the first book longer. It was less than 300 pages, and just added some of these as flashbacks. I get she was trying to like make it a big shock at the end that she's actually the, you know, the wife. But I just think it was so drawn out. We did not need this as like a whole book. And this one was 300 and something pages. So I don't know why this one was longer. So I just didn't really love it. I think I don't know what I'm going to rate it. I'm thinking 3.5 stars. I might round it up to 4 for Goodreads, but we'll see. I got to run into work because I'm going to be late. But I will check back in with you once I finish the last book.
Hey guys, I am back here with my final check-in for this vlog and this trilogy. I did end up finishing the third book, well, besides that prequel, which I won't even count because it wasn't really a prequel. Anyways, I finished the third book, which is, let me check. Oh yeah, Consumed by Deception. And I'm happy to say this one went a lot better than the second book. I will stand by what I'm saying here with the second book being so drawn out, very repetitive, a lot of spanking, punishments, all that type of stuff, and long look at how they first met. I didn't really think we needed a full book on that. Like, I don't think we needed it. This could have been a duet and it would have been much better. But luckily I stuck with it, and I wanted to get, you know, the full story. And obviously I'm doing this vlog, I'm trying to read all Rina Kent's backlist, and Rina Kent does keep you interested. I just really was like dragging with that second book. So anyways, in this book, there's not really a lot of like big reveals that need to be made anymore. We've got a lot of answers to our questions. It's mostly, how do these two come together and be strong together? And is Leah gonna finally step up and be fully in, and like, instead of him always pursuing her and forcing her into situations, and her being like not admitting she loved him? And I was pretty frustrated with Leah in the second book. And I think she kept a lot of secrets from him, which come into play in this third book, because when she was gonna go like run away with Luca, who's her childhood friend, which she didn't even realize that, you know, in the first book that's who it was, because in this book we're picking up where the first book left off, of her, you know, trying to get away. She's trying to get her and Jeremy away, and she basically goes to the guy that she knew from her past, and she's supposed to kill Adrian, but she doesn't know why. And then she has the big reveal of like, she's actually Leah. But like, we pick up right there where like, she's basically telling him, like, when she remembers everything, she just can't believe it. And she's like, I'm not gonna kill Adrian. I'm not gonna do anything to hurt him. And, you know, and he basically, she's kind of coming against him, like, no, I'm not doing this. Like, you used me. Like, you used me to be able to get to Adrian, and manipulated me and stuff like that. And he's arguing with her, and he basically sees Adrian coming and kisses her. And in the second book, she had basically pretended that she had an affair with this guy, and so he thinks that she had cheated on him, and that made him lose his mind. And so when he sees her kissing this guy, he immediately jumps to the conclusion that this is the guy, and that she has actually been cheating on him. So she ends up telling him the truth on like half the stuff. So that's where I was getting frustrated, because she really needed to fess up about everything, big picture, on who Luca was, all this stuff. He sees her like trying to stop him going after him as her trying to protect Luca, when really she knows how dangerous Luca is, and she's worried for Adrian's safety. And she does something she never done before, and she like gets down on her knees and basically gives him a blowjob and like kind of shows him she's in this. So basically this book is her like fully trying to prove to him like she never cheated on him and she loves him, and she is, you know, gonna stand by him and want to be in this marriage, and she'll never try to leave again. So that's kind of what's happening. Eventually, like, she didn't tell him about her being there as like a spy, and also to be like feeding information to Luca, and that how Luca was at the assassination attempt. So he finds out later while they're on this vacation. She manages to get him to go on this vacation with her. It's to Russia, and her and him and Jeremy have this sweet little like getaway. And so you get to see them like come together as a family, but then he finds this out and thinks she's like totally betrayed him. And then at the same time, we have the Pecan has found out the truth about how he killed the guy that ran that homeless shelter, who had ties to the Bratva, and he was very important to them, but he killed him because he tried to assault his wife. So he's fucking dead. So that looks like a betrayal to the Bratva. So he has to go home and face the Pecan and all of that. And she's freaking out. She's like, don't leave me. You know, I can tell him the truth of who my father is, what happened to me. And he's like, no, you need to be out of danger. Everything he's done is to keep her safe and out of the mafia lifestyle fully. He's very sheltered her against everybody else. So she basically talks his guards in, who are worried about him too, to flying her. And she goes and meets her dad, who didn't know she existed. And, you know, and she asks for his help. He's the Don of the Italian mafia. And so he basically kind of goes to the Pecan for her and is able to get Adrian out of this situation. But now he knows about his daughter, and Adrian didn't really want that ever to happen. So a lot of stuff is going on with that. But basically what we have here is Leah is finally 100% in. She's trying to help out Winter, who she realizes has been awake this whole time. That's like she's been in a coma, because in the previous book we found out when the double went there, she like freaked out because Adrian recognized her immediately, tried to run away, and she hits her head and goes into a coma. And so she's been there forever. But she's basically been pretending because Adrian said he was going to torture her when she woke up. So, but basically Leah feels guilty and wants to help her out. And so she's trying to help Winter. But so I enjoyed this. I thought there was a lot more going on. It was very fast paced. I really liked how Leah was stepping up and coming together. So I enjoyed it. It didn't blow me away. I'll probably give it like 4 stars, or 4.5, because I do think it was a lot better. Again, like I was getting kind of tired of the spankings and punishment and BDSM stuff by this point, because we've had 3 books of that now. So I kind of like almost wanted to skim those sex scenes in this, but it was decent. So honestly, this is not my favorite that Rina Kent did, but you know, if she would have made this into a duet, I think I would have liked it a lot more than that second book, like dragging it out forever. And so I think the next book is going to be about Kirill, who is very interesting. And he has a guard that's like obviously a woman. Like one of the previous books, Ray found out and she was like, knew it was a woman. So I think it's going to be about them. But anyways, so I'm sorry, this vlog is probably going to be kind of whatever. I just didn't feel like totally going into everything in this series, this trilogy, because it was just kind of But, you know, I'm excited because I'm coming close to the end here, where I'm going to be getting to the finally like the God of Malice series. So anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. If you can, remember to like, subscribe to my channel, leave me a comment down below. Let me know if you've read this trilogy and what you thought. Maybe we are on the same page. But thank you as always, and I will see you guys on the next one.